What's up, everyone? Welcome to a True Underground Story podcast. I'm the host, Timmy Burner. Today I'm with Silvandgold out of Southeast LA.
Yes.
Before we even start, what do you dislike more, trap drums or hi-hats?
Did you get that from my reel?
Yeah.
By the way, sorry for the noise. I'm outside and there's like wind chimes and stuff. So if it sounds very magical, that's what it is.
You're fine.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't hate them. I don't hate trap drums, and I don't hate what was the other one I said? Trap drums and hi-hats. I don't hate them. I think that if they're used the right way, they can sound very good. So I just think one or the other. I think what I hate more is probably what is it? Auto-tune?
Yeah, auto-tune.
That I hate more than both of them. So there you go. That's the answer.
So you're from Southeast LA. You're born and raised?
Southeast LA, yeah.
You claim HP though, correct?
Yeah, I was born in a hospital in East Los Angeles that doesn't exist anymore. And then I moved from Pico Union to Southeast Los Angeles when I was probably around 7 or 6. And I was basically raised here ever since then. Yeah, I claim HP because that's where I spent the most of my adolescence. I went to HP High. I went to middle school in HP, and yeah.
What was your childhood like for you growing up in Southeast LA?
It was a very immigrant community. So I was raised around a lot of Mexicans, obviously. So I never felt out of place. But music played a huge role in my life. I was listening to hip hop when I was a very young kid. I probably shouldn't have been listening to it when I was like 7 or 8, but I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics as much as I was paying attention to the beat. So that made me happy and I was enjoying it. And it made me feel good it just made me feel good to listen to hip hop, honestly. It made me feel empowered at a very young age. I felt like it was my my secret, that nobody else related to, that nobody else liked but me. Nobody in my class liked it, and I thought it was just it was me. It was mine. Hip hop was mine, and y'all didn't know anything about it, and I felt better that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably about the same age when I got into hip hop because I didn't have much control over what was being played at the time because I was 8. So my mom played a lot of country, but I have older brothers, and they put me on to like Tupac and stuff when I was about 8 or 9, and that's when I really started transitioning into my love for hip hop was from guys like Tupac and Biggie and all them.
That's what's up. I mean, I love Tupac, obviously. I have a Thug Life tatted in my arm, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah.
Now, I had listened in another interview you had done. You said you started rapping around the age of 8 when you kind of started listening to hip-hop. That's when you started rapping yourself. How long would you say you've been making music professionally now for?
So I wasn't rapping when I was 8. I was just writing poetry. I took my first poetry class I was actually introduced to poetry in elementary school by my teacher, and I loved it. And I started to write really, really early. It was bad. I mean, I was just writing stuff. It was just rhyming a little bit, but I wasn't rapping until I got older. Professionally, I've officially been recording music and putting it out since 2019. So only 4 years.
And how did you come about your stage name, Silvandgold?
Well, Silva's like a family name. So I just kind of had it as a social media handle. Silva and gold, right? Because silver sounds like silver. So I had it like that for years. And then eventually I started to book shows after my music was coming out. And the promoter started asking me for a stage name. And I didn't have a stage name. So I was like, damn, should I just go by my government name? Is that weird? But then a friend of mine suggested that I just keep my Instagram handle. And I said, okay. So I just kept my Instagram handle, and that's what it is, just Silvandgold.
You grew up and you went to college. Where did you go to college?
I went to UC Irvine.
UC Irvine. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there for 2 years. I transferred from Cerritos College and I went to UC Irvine.
And then after college, you went and studied abroad in London.
I studied abroad while I was at Irvine. I took a quarter over there and I was there for, you did your research, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in London for about 4 months. I took a quarter in London.
What did your like friends and your family think when you started making music back in 2019?
I didn't tell nobody. I didn't want to tell anybody because I was afraid of what they were gonna think, to be honest with you. So I hid it as much as I could from my family. I tried, but after a while, you can't hide it.
Right.
So you can't hide, especially if they follow you on social media and when they see you coming home late, really late on weekends and weekdays, and they're just like, "Why are you coming home so late?" And they're worried about me, and I don't know how to tell them, "Don't worry, I'm just performing," or "Don't worry, I'm at a studio," or "I'm having a writing session." So after coming home late often, and after watching my social media posts, they had no choice but to ask me about it, and I had to be honest with them. And when I was honest with them, they were very disappointed. My mom was disappointed. She still is actually. She asks me to stop pretty often. um my older sister, she doesn't like it either. So a lot of my family members are disappointed. The only one that I think supports me would be my dad and my younger sister. But everybody else doesn't like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because your dad, if I'm from what I remember from listening to some interviews, you said your dad like put you through multiple different like music
Yeah.
classes.
Like I told him. I mean, he saw it in me that I was always singing and stuff, and I was singing in church when I was young, and he loved to sing. He loves to sing. So when he saw me loving to sing and loving music, he was the first person to give me a Walkman, like with the cassette players, and he would give me cassettes. And oh my God, it was just amazing for an elementary kid, 7 years old, 6 years old, with their own cassette player. It's the best. I was loving life, and he saw me loving music and singing, and eventually he started to sort of like sign me up for some classes and stuff. But I would always quit. I didn't like it. I didn't like the structure. I didn't want to play an instrument. I wanted to use my voice.
Right.
So I quit. I quit when I was in elementary school. He kind of like encouraged me to sign up for some music classes in school. I did. I quit. And then he eventually signed me up outside of school, like at a private school for music, for piano, and I didn't like it. I quit. So he tried. He tried, and I appreciated that because he was one of the first people to really like to see something in me and really like push
Push you.
me towards that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't like the structure of that. But eventually I found my own way. But yeah, that was what my dad did for me at a very young age.
And then you also, how long did you do the worship team? Because I know that you, in other interviews, had brought up that you were really heavy into church and you were part of the worship team, so you had like
Yeah.
the music there. How long did that go on for?
Okay, so as a kid, I used to sing very young, very, very young. I was like 6 or whatever. But then as I got older, I made a decision for my own to join the worship team at church, right? Were you raised in church by any chance?
It's complicated. My
It always
mom
is,
had,
isn't it?
I went to a Mormon church with my mom
Oh.
for a small period of time. Different type of
Mm-hmm.
Mormons, not the polygamous Mormons. And then
Yeah.
I didn't like it because it was like 3 hours long
Yeah.
and just talking. My father was Catholic, so I'd go
Mm.
to him to Catholic church, and I preferred that because it was an hour and it was a lot of singing. There
Yeah.
wasn't much talking. So that was
Yeah.
pretty much my extent with church.
I was raised Christian, so there's a lot of singing, and there's instruments and there's bands, and so when I was in my like right out of high school, I was going to church, and I wanted to join the worship team. You know, I love to sing. I always say that I'm a singer first, and then I'm a rapper. Every time I say that, people are confused, but it is what it is. That's what I was doing first. So I wanted to join the worship team, and eventually I did, and I was probably in the worship team for like I want to say like 4 years, like 4 years. Yeah, 4 years I think, and it was such a great experience. It was. I mean, church in itself, like the structure of church wasn't a great experience, but being in the worship team was. It just taught me so much. And I never, like, I think about it now and how being in the worship team really molded me for the stage now. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, at church, there's a lot of like call and response, right? There's rehearsal, there's like a team, right? Like, you all have to meet up and you all have to be in sync. And that taught me a lot that I apply now just to when I perform. Yeah.
So, what was some of the music that you kind of grew up listening to? What was like your introduction to hip hop and the stuff that you ended up seeking out in your teen years, music wise? What was some of that music that you listened to?
So I owe my love of music or hip hop specifically to my siblings, my older siblings. I give them all the credit for the hip hop part. My older brother and my older sister. My older brother introduced me to Wu Tang very young. That was amazing. I loved it right away. And then my sister introduced me to R&B. She was the one that introduced me to Destiny Child, Aaliyah, R. Kelly before we knew R. Kelly, all of that. And so I had like the best of both worlds, and it was lovely. So shout out to my siblings for having great taste in music.
Um, so obviously we kind of touched base on it a little bit earlier with HP being a very heavy Hispanic culture. You're Hispanic yourself.
I'm
I noticed
Chicana.
Chicana. I noticed you have a clip on your Instagram where you're actually rapping in Spanish. Are you like fully fluent in Spanish to where you could do like a Spanglish type rapping where you can go back and forth?
Yeah, I'm bilingual. Yeah. I know that rapping in Spanish was something that I had to do. Like I had to, right? As soon as I found a place to record and as soon as I was able to put music out professionally, I always knew that I had to rap in Spanish. It was not even a question for me because I didn't have Spanish hip hop growing up that influenced me. I know it existed, but the stuff that I was listening to, it wasn't Spanish. I
Right.
because Chicano hip hop is a whole different type of genre that I wasn't exposed to. So I would hear certain like, Puerto Rican rappers say Spanish words. Like I would hear Tony Touch say Tony Toca, and I would hear like Big Pun, and then the Beat Nuts would say some Spanish words, and then when I got a little bit older, Immortal Technique did some Spanish and English back and forth stuff, and that was my introduction to Spanish hip hop. These Puerto Ricans, Peruvians saying certain words, and I was like, that is what I need. That is what we all need. Why isn't there more of that? So I made it a thing that I was gonna rap in Spanish, like without a doubt. And so I always have. From my very first EP that I dropped in 2019, Catch the Kite, I have two Spanish tracks in Spanish, all Spanish. And so it was just important to me. And I'm gonna keep doing it. I think it's important. We're missing out. There's nothing like that. I don't know. Maybe there is and I don't know about it, but I needed it growing up and I didn't have it. And so I always say that I like to make music that I needed as a kid. So when I make music now, I think about younger Silva and Gold and what I would have liked to hear, what I needed to hear. And so Spanish is in there. As far as an advantage, I don't know. I don't know, but I wish there was a little bit more. And I see the people in my surroundings tapping into that because of me. And they've told me like you inspired me to rap in Spanish. And I respect that they tell me that. I respect that they give me props because I love to inspire people. What I don't respect is people copying me and not giving me props. Like that shit pisses me off. But if you give me props, honestly, that's what's up. Keep going. But yeah,
I love that you name dropped Immortal Technique because that's somebody that me and my older brother talk about all the time that kind of gets glossed over in hip hop history. He's very
yeah.
underrated for what he brought to the table.
He is. He is. Immortal Technique was definitely an inspiration for sure. Yeah.
So, speaking of like inspirations, who are some artists that you would say kind of influenced your style? Because you do have like that boom bap type rap?
Oh man, I don't know. So many to name. I have an encyclopedia in my heart and in my soul of hip hop artists that have inspired me. I don't even know where to start. Um, Wu-Tang, Tupac, Little Kim, Bahamadia, Gangstar, Immortal Technique, even some Christian hip hop artists like Propaganda, Braille, Jay Givens, Taylor Gray, so many, so many. It never stops. A lot of people. And I am heavily inspired by classic hip hop. Obviously, I don't like to call it old school because it's not old school. It's classic, right? Just like there's classic rock, there's classic hip hop. It never goes out of style. Don't
That's
call it
the
old
point.
school. Call it classic. I'm classic, and I'm inspired by the classics.
That's a fair point. So,
Yeah,
speaking of classic hip hop, you back in 2018 saw KRS-One live.
yeah. Summer
Well, what was
2018.
that like?
Well, I've seen him live multiple times, but I feel like this time was a little special because he was speaking something that was very specific that I had never heard him say before. And like I said, I had seen him a bunch of times. I saw him in high school, perform a few times, but this time it was in Los Angeles. It was at an outdoor concert put on by Delicious Vinyl, and he gave like a speech, uh, specifically to Mexicans, which again I had never heard him say that. He said he's like you got a dope album that you're not putting out because you keep comparing yourself and thinking that you're not good enough for Power 106. And then he started to talk about La Raza and all that stuff. And I'm listening to him like, who's he talking to? Is he talking to me? Like, what? And he kept mentioning like Mexicanism and all that stuff. And he kept saying that I need to just put my album out. It was weird. And so I just so happened to be recording him saying that like the whole time. So I captured that footage and I captured him saying that. And I was moved by it. And I used what he said, I used it on my first EP, you know? And so I wrote like a poem and I just sort of like set the poem. I didn't really like rap it. I just set the poem over a beat and then I would use what he said snippets in the song. And so is that what you're referring to? That
Yeah.
right there? Yeah.
Yes.
That was very inspirational. I feel like that speech probably triggered something in me. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Something a lot of people like look for is like something that's going to trigger or spark something in them to push them. So that's awesome that somebody
Yeah.
big as KRS-One could speak something at a show that
Very
really spoke to
specific.
people.
It was too specific, you know, so I had to I, that was one of the things that triggered me for sure. Yeah.
So as an artist, you know, trying to collaborate with mainstream artists, it can be costly, but if you didn't have to like foot the cost for a feature, who's a mainstream artist that you want to work with down the line?
J. Cole.
J. Cole?
Yeah, automatically J. Cole. Yeah. I feel like we can just go back and forth and it'll be amazing.
I could see it. He's
Yeah.
he's a very intricate person with the way he rhymes and just
Yeah.
his cadence and flow.
Yeah, so am I. And I know he has a lot of love for West Coast artists. He has a few West Coast artists signed to Dreamville, which is interesting. You would think West Coast record labels would sign these West Coast artists, but it's somebody from North Carolina. So he
Yeah.
has a appreciation for the West Coast, and so yeah.
Being from the West Coast, you know, you had guys that made a huge impact in the for like independent artists with like Nipsey Hussle. What did Nipsey Hussle mean to you?
Man, and Nipsey Hussle was from down the street from where I'm from. That in itself is crazy, you know? Whenever he mentions all these places that he goes to, I was like, dude, that's crazy. That's down the street, you know? And it means so much to me that somebody from down the street from me made it in an independent way. You know what I'm saying? I listen to his music and I feel like I'm in school, like I'm listening to what not to do, what to do. There's a song where he talks about how they offered him an advance and he rejected the advance, and he said, instead of giving me the advance, just promote the album. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. He's sharing game, you know what I'm saying? Like, reject an advance, just promote the album. That's what you tell the record labels. I've never heard a rapper say that to people in their music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm learning and I'm like absorbing all this from Nipsey, and I'm just like taking note. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what he meant to me. Just somebody from where I'm from, somebody who had integrity. Um, he always talks about hustling, which makes me feel better, because sometimes I feel like I overwork myself, you know, and I want to put myself down for that. And I'm like, I need a rest. I need a rest. But it's like, look, you're not just hustling for nothing. You're hustling for something good, something that makes you happy. So don't feel so bad about working hard about some. Don't feel so bad about working hard towards something that makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. That's what he means to me. Yeah, an inspiration, a teacher.
Yeah. He and I've had this discussion with other artists, like when like artists are approached by record labels, they don't like read the fine print. They just hear the money
Yeah.
that's being presented to them, not realizing what the advance actually means. That that's all the money you're gonna get, and there's consequences to that money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say has probably been the hardest thing for you as an artist?
Being a female. I feel like I have to prove myself even more than other people do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I feel like certain men can get away with less, right? They don't have to be that dope. They just have to be okay. You know what I'm saying? But if they have the
Yes.
look and if they have the connections, you know, they have way more than I do. And it's a bummer because I see it. You know, I see people that are okay, but because they have connections, then it just becomes nepotism, you know. And I see the nepotism in front of me, and I'm just thinking, damn, like that. Whereas me, I have to really prove myself. Like my skills and my talent has to be undeniable. It has to be, you know. And so that's the hard part, just having to be undeniable all the time. It can get a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, I'm kind of grateful because then I practice a lot and I rehearse a lot, and I'm always trying to get better and better and better because I know I have to be. And it just so happens that I am improving. I'm always improving and I'm constantly improving, and I'm better now than I was last year. And if you listen to my first EP, you want to hear me at my most rookie, listen to my first EP compared to the stuff I just dropped a month ago. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
everything is just improving. And so it's a good thing and a bad thing. But that's the hardest part, just being a female. Also, because you know, females in hip hop are a minority, it's hard to find, you know, friends, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sort of like binge watching the Wu-Tang show on Hulu. I'm a little late. I'm a little late. But I'm binge watching it right now, and I'm learning so much, right? And what a blessing to have a group of people to just sharpen each other, help each other out, uplift each other. I see it and I'm like, oh, I envy that so much. Like, that's beautiful. I don't have a group of people. I don't have friends. I don't have like people that can help me out with the cover art, with the music video, with the mixing and the mastering, with the recording. I don't have a team. You know, I have to just sort of call people up and be like, hey, what's up? You available? You know, I'll pay you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I have to make a way because I don't have a team. And I think one of the reasons why I don't have a team is because I am a minority in hip hop already. But if I was a man, maybe it'll be easier for me to find a team. Maybe it'll be easier for me to have help, you know? So just having a little bit of help, having to prove myself, being judged a lot, you know, like um, people assuming stuff about me because of how I look, right? Like whenever I'm about to hit the stage, you know, whatever the stage managers or the hosts or the DJ ask me, oh, you're gonna sing us a song today, you know? And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna sing a song today. I'm gonna rap. And they're like, oh, you're gonna rap? And I'm like, yeah. So I rap, I get off the stage, and they're shocked. I was not expecting that. And so just stuff like that, because I know that they were assuming something about me before I hopped the stage, like, you know, and you didn't even know me. So I can imagine what other people that don't see me perform, what they might think, you know? So it's just all of that. That's the stuff that makes this harder.
Yeah, I can see that. I recently had a discussion with another rapper, a female MC,
Yeah.
and we talked about like how female artists in hip hop, you have to present yourself a certain type of way. A lot of the times, you just get overlooked, or you have to be just top notch for anybody to want to take you seriously. Whereas men can just make a song talking about drill music essentially, and it can make them viral and they'll be a success. But it's just harder for women, and they don't get as much props. Like I always, when people ask me like my top 10, I always put like Missy Elliott. To me, was a top tier rapper. She
Of course.
killed it.
Of course.
Lil Kim always gets a mention. Obviously, Lauryn Hill, somebody I admire, because I don't know any other artist that could do what Lauryn did. She released one album and she changed
Yeah.
hip hop with one
Mm-hmm.
album
Mm-hmm.
and then walked away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see like your point of just it's hard being a female in hip hop, especially like because it always gets brought up. She's a female MC. It's not just she's a rapper. It's the female always gets put before
Yeah.
the label.
It is.
So to counter that, what would you say has probably been the most rewarding thing for you as an artist?
The most rewarding thing was probably just being able to be myself. Finally, you know.
Yeah.
This is really who I am. Like this is like my soul. My soul is hip hop. You know. So I was sort of like hiding what I was for a very long time because I felt like I had to. You know. Because like what I mentioned earlier, just disappointing my family, but also just people not really grasping it, not understanding, you know, just what it is, hip hop. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you want to do? What are you talking about? And so just being able to be myself, that's the most liberating thing in the world. And that's what hip hop has done for me. That's what recording music and putting it out has done for me. Like, I'm feel free. Like, I can finally be me, you know?
Yeah.
I wasn't able to be me for a long time. So yeah, just feeling free.
Most artists that I've talked to, they all suffer at one point or another with writer's block. How often do you get struck with writer's block?
Not very often.
Not very often.
No. I first of all don't rap over beats that I don't like. If I don't like them, I'm not gonna do it. If I'm not inspired, I don't like the beat, I'm not moved. But if I'm moved, then it's easy. You know, it's very easy. And of course, it doesn't, I can't write instantly. It does take me time. Some songs take longer than others. I could write a verse in an hour, but a song might take me like a long time, you know? So there's no like set amount of time that I take to write a verse or a song. But usually the beat moves me, it inspires me. And so I rarely suffer writer's block, to be honest.
Back in 2021, you went on a tour. You stopped in multiple different cities. Let me actually pull that up real fast so I have the dates.
Yeah.
Hi,
what Danny. Sorry, I'm
tour
just saying hi to people.
For you? Oh, you're good. You're good.
Hi, Danny. Hi, Rorex. How's everybody doing? That tour for me was super cool. It was very cool. It was the first time I was able to perform in New York was because of that tour. I performed in Brooklyn at an art gallery. So that was the first time I was able, I mean, I had been to New York before, but to be there to perform, that was the first time. you know. So it was a great experience. I had a little taste of tour life, which is not glamorous. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. Um, but it's a beautiful experience that I hope to experience again. I loved
Let's
it.
say, yeah, you went from Vegas to San Diego to LA twice, then to Brooklyn, like you were saying, and then you went to Ontario, Canada, and then down to Lake Worth, Florida. Like, you went all over for your tour.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
thank you. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, there's a
Um,
cat. There's a cat right here. Go, shoo, shoo, cat. I'm, I'm allergic to cats. Go away.
oh, that's not good.
Sorry. Go right ahead.
Who are some artists that you currently have in your rotation?
Um, hmm. Currently have my rotation. So Joey Badass released an album recently. So I've had his album on repeat. I'm happy Joey Badass released this album because his last one was eh. But this one right here with Static Selecta, so that's been on repeat for me. Also, J. Cole recently has been on repeat. And there's this artist named Aaron May. I don't know if you know who he is. I actually just discovered him a few weeks ago, and I've been listening to a little bit of Aaron May. He's modern, you know, so I like his voice. I like the way he spits. I like his concepts, amazing concepts. So those have been in my rotation recently.
So I have a game I play on this show
Mm-hmm.
called This or That.
This or that?
Yes.
Okay.
I present two artists to you, and you'll tell me which one you're going to play in your car first.
Okay.
Erica Badu or Lauryn Hill?
Mm. The Fugees. The Fugees.
A
Not Lauryn
Tribe
Hill,
Called...
but the Fugees. Just because I feel
I
like
mean, it's the same.
it's
She's
not the
part of
same
the Fugees,
thing.
so.
You know what?
Yeah,
You know why? Because her solo album, I literally like that was like I played that album so many times that I'm now I feel like I can't listen to it anymore because I've been so now it's like I'm gonna I'm gonna say the Fugees. So there you go.
that I don't blame you. I've done that to a lot of artists that I've just
I've
overplayed like
overplayed them.
one
Yeah.
specific album so many times that I could just not listen to it again.
Mm-hmm. That's what I
Um,
did.
a Tribe Called Quest or Gangstar?
Gangstar.
Nas or Jay-Z?
Nas. No brainer. Sorry.
Tupac or Biggie?
Tupac.
DMX or 50 Cent?
DMX.
Outkast or Mobb Deep?
Mobb Deep. I love Outkast, but Mobb Deep.
Eminem or The Game?
The Game. Sorry. I don't care if people are mad. The Game.
E40 or Twista?
E40.
J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar?
J. Cole.
Absol or Schoolboy Q?
Oh, man. Schoolboy Q.
The Lox or Dipset?
The Locks.
G-Unit or Slaughterhouse?
Slaughterhouse.
That's the first time in a while I've gotten Slaughterhouse as an answer.
Slaughterhouse is dope.
Remy Ma or Missy Elliott?
Ooh, you went there. Damn. I'm going to say Missy Elliott. Even though I love Remy Ma, I'm going to say Missy Elliott. No.
Lupe Fiasco or Wale?
Lupe Fiasco.
I'm going to give you Mobb Deep again. I'll put him against UGK.
You're bad. Mobb Deep.
Pusha T or Kanye?
Pusha T.
Pusha T. T.I. or Ludacris?
Ludacris. I like Ludacris. I think he's dope. Way
I do
more
too. I think
than
he kind of
T.I.
gets like swept under the rug a lot in hip hop discussions, but he went on, his first four albums all had a lot of hits to them that
I feel
surprised me
like
that.
he should have kept going. Like I feel like he shouldn't never stop. Like why isn't he still doing some features at least? Can you imagine? Can you imagine Ludacris collaborating with Griselda? It would be
Yeah.
amazing. Like I don't know. I feel like it's his fault, but he's amazing. He's great.
Benny the Butcher or Royce the 5'9"?
Oh, Royce. Why did I moan like that? That was weird. I went, oh. Sorry, it's because I love Royce. I love Royce the 5'9".
I do too. Royce
Yeah.
is he's nice. I've gotten really huge into Benny the Butcher here.
Oh yeah. Benny the Butcher's amazing, but Royce is, you know, he's he's deep, you know?
Redman or Method Man?
I don't like this game. Method Man.
So
Okay, thank you.
you've done a lot of shows in your time. I'm noticing when I was going through your Instagram, you've had a lot of different show flyers. One of them that stood out to me was the MF DoomsDay Sam Hain jam session.
In
What
Chicago.
was that like for you?
Well, it was put together by this couple in Chicago that basically wasn't that saw a lack of like hip hop in their community. So they made it a point to build a stage in their home, like in their backyard, and to throw an event. And they threw an event the year before I went there, right? And I guess they liked it so much they decided to throw the event the following year. And the man in the relationship, the husband, he discovered my music on social media, and he like I guess he was hearing it whatever on Spotify, and he really liked it. So he reached out to me about coming to Chicago to perform for that year's MF Doomsday, right? Which was like on Halloween. It was gonna be like an all day thing, like an event with a bunch of performers and graffiti and food and all that stuff. And so I said, yeah, I would love to go. Absolutely. Like, yeah. And so they basically just flew me over there. They flew me over there, and I performed in Chicago for the first time last year, I believe. Last year, yeah. And then I went back this year for spring for another event that they were a part of, you know? So it was great building connections in Chicago.
Um, when you're like about to release an album, what route do you typically take to try and promote your album before it drops? Do you try and get on radio shows? What exactly is your process to promoting an album that you're going to release?
Before it drops,
Yes.
like once it's already done and I just have to drop it type thing.
Yes.
That's a hard question because one thing I don't think I've mastered is marketing, you know? I feel like that's what I was talking about earlier, where it's like I don't have a team. You know, I don't have
Right.
a group of I don't have a manager, I don't have a specific producer that I work with, or a specific engineer or a specific whatever. It's just kind of like me and like the few people that I know and whoever can help me, whoever's available. And so when it comes to marketing, I I don't have like a right way to do it just because I don't have the knowledge yet. So I just go off whatever I feel, whatever I think is important, and I drop the first thing I do is I share the date that I'm gonna drop the album, and then I share the features, and then I share the album cover, and then I finally drop it. So yeah.
I mean, that's like the whole point of like like when I do these interviews, but everyone has like something that they're still trying to learn, and marketing typically tends to be the thing that everyone's struggling to figure out because
Yeah.
in today's society with like how much music gets put out there, the industry is oversaturated, so it's hard to really showcase as much as it compared to before.
Well, I don't think of the industry being oversaturated. That's never been an issue, like a problem or a fear for me. That's something that I don't even think about because there's a fan base for everything.
Yeah.
If I put out an album where I'm just humming, just humming, there's an audience for that that'll play the music just because they like it. So there's an audience for everything. I don't think about it in that way. What's more important to me is to be myself. That's important to me, because if I can't listen to my music and enjoy it, then what am I doing? You know, I have to be a fan of what I put out first and foremost. And so that's the most important thing, to do things that I enjoy, that I like, that I need, and then hope and pray that there are other people that like it too. You know, I don't break my head trying to be accepted or be liked. You know,
Right.
that's not. I've waited too long to do this. I put it off for so long that I am not gonna worry about people, what they think, their opinions. You know what I'm saying? I come first. And if you like it, then that's just a blessing too. You know, so but yeah, the marketing part, that's something that I just try my best. I just try what I could do, and I learn more and more every year, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a like a troubleshooting thing. You try one thing and then you learn from that and
Yeah,
kind of build on it.
exactly. Yeah. But you always have to be learning, you know?
Yes. So a lot of artists they record a lot of music and they sit on it for a long time. Would you say you have a lot of like songs in the vault that you haven't released?
Oh yeah. I have an entire album.
Oh,
Yeah. I have like 14 songs recorded. Not mixed and mastered yet. So yeah, I have an entire album. It's funny, but it's true. Um, and I still have more to record. Because I what I do first I accumulate the beats, right?
right.
I like this beat, I like that beat, I like this beat, I like this beat, and so then I have a collection of beats that move me. And so after I have those beats, I pick one to write to. I pick it and I write to it, and then I record it. And so, okay, that one's done. What other beats do I want to write to? I want to write to this one. And I get inspired. I sit on it for a minute and then I write. And so that one's done because I recorded it. And so I basically have a bunch of songs recorded already. But I have a few beats that I still haven't written to, that I have been really moved by recently. So I have to write and record to those. Um, I don't think I'm going to put all the songs out, just because I can't have an album with like 20 songs,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm gonna pick my favorites. I'm gonna put it on the album, and then I'm gonna see what I do with the other ones, you know? But yeah, I have a bunch of songs recorded. I never stop. I'm always writing. I'm always recording. If I had my own studio, I'd probably have even more songs, but I don't. So I do what I can.
Yeah. With like the 20, what you were saying with you can't release a 20-track album. I've had this discussion with a lot of artists like that tell me that they're gonna. I had one guy tell me he's gonna drop. His goal one day was to drop like 100-track album. And I tried explaining to him like even a long time ago, like it wouldn't have been feasible, and especially now because of like things like TikTok and stuff has like demolished people's attention spans. That
Yeah.
albums don't do as well as singles do anymore. Like albums
Mm-hmm.
used to be the route, and I still want artists to produce albums because I don't ever want that part of music to die.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like personally, I like to listen to a whole album when somebody drops. Like when you drop your next album, I'll listen to it because I listen to. Let's see here, I'll put on the albums here. I listened to your album from last year, Avant Garde, and
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. And I have to go back and listen to the Gabby Guerrero LP still, but
You'll love that one. It's short and it's great. I love albums. I'll never stop putting out albums. I think albums are amazing. I like you said earlier, I still listen to entire albums from beginning to end. I study albums. There are some great albums out there that I will never stop listening to. Prince Paul, his album with Breeze Bruin, one of the best hip hop albums in history, in my opinion, of course. And then I just albums are amazing, and I wish that more people valued them. I'm never gonna stop putting them out, like I said. The reason why I don't want to put out a 20 song album is because I don't want any of those songs to slide between the cracks and not be appreciated. So I feel like if I just limit it to like 12 songs per album, then all of them will be appreciated, which is the goal. And then I'll probably save those for another album. But that's really the only reason why I don't want a long album. But other than that, shit, I love albums, and I wish more people appreciated them more the way that you and I do.
What would be some advice that you would give to younger you or a younger person wanting to pursue music?
Younger me. Got myself like stressed out for a minute. Younger me, I would give a lot of advice to younger me, but I don't want to talk about everything I would say to her. So just as far as the music goes, I would say study, study the greats, write more. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. You know, people always reject the unfamiliar. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it always is. So yeah, you're gonna be rejected at first, but who gives a shit? Do it because it's you. That's who you are, you know? So be you. That's what I would say to myself.
When I was like going through your music, because I'd already listened to your music, because I started following you on Instagram, I think about a year ago or so.
Yeah.
But I was wanting to stay fresh. I really liked this song you released 11 months ago on YouTube with, I don't want to say her name wrong. Is it Ilsmar?
Ilsamar, yeah.
Ilsmar? I really like it. It was a really good song, and the video is dope. I like the fish lens that you guys did. That's very LA.
You think so? I think it's very 90s.
That too. It reminds me of early skateboarding videos.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, Ilsamar's great.
how did you two end up linking up? Have just knowing her from like the hip hop community around there, or?
Yeah, from like the scene and stuff. I would see her at shows and I saw her live. I thought she was very, very, very cool, very eccentric, very herself, you know? And so I was like, well, that's cool. And so it just so happens that she was friend of a friend. And so I asked my friend, like, hey, call up Ilsamar, you know, let's do a song together. And so he did call her up to the studio and we became friends, her and I. And I think we became closer friends, her and I, than like the other friends. So yeah, we became a little closer than I expected. And so yeah, I got really close to her and her partner. So like fast forward to now, like I can say they're probably my closest female friends. Like I love them so much. And so, and I know they're always going to be there for me. They're, I didn't say this earlier, but they're probably like two people in this music game that I know I can depend on for anything. Like if I don't know, whatever music related, I can go to Ilsamar and to Amalia and they have my back, you know? So Ilsamar became a really, really close friend of mine. And when that beat was played, at first, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't like the beat. It was too fast, it was too lively, I'm jazzy, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. But she hopped on it quick and she started writing her verse in front of me. And I'm like, really? I don't even like the beat. And she didn't care. And she was writing her verse. And then I think when she got halfway, she spit it for me and she killed it. She killed it. And I said, fuck, I have to come hard now because Ilsamar's verse is amazing. And so I told her, you know what? I'm not gonna write it now. I'm gonna write it later, but I'll see you in a week ish. So I guess she went home. She finished it. We saw each other the week after, and I had my verse done. She spit her verse. I said, "Man, your verse is amazing. We're gonna name the song after one of the lines you say." And then I don't know if you noticed, but she says, "This is light work." And so we named the song Light Work because of her, because her verse was dope and because I like what she said. And so I feel like that song was done because of her. Even though it was on my album, she inspired everything. She inspired the concept. She made me get on this beat.
Made you kind of step out of like your comfort zone.
She made me step out of my comfort zone, which is interesting because it's my song, but she made me step out of my comfort zone. And then the one thing that I did have a say in was the video. So I wanted to shoot the video in New York, and we went to New York to shoot the video, and we shot it in front of Big L's mural. Her partner Amalia, she shot it, she edited, she did everything, And I wanted it to be 90s inspired, which is why we use
Fish,
the
fish line.
fisheye lens, the fisheye lens. And I wanted us to wear bright colors, you know what I'm saying? So we did that. We did that. But Il Samara inspired the song for sure.
Um, I need to go on your page here to make sure I get the date right on that. But
Yeah.
you recently had done a video. Well, I'll give like the summed up version of it, that you were trying to ask people why in today's generation people will just give up and walk away when things get difficult
Yeah, yeah.
in a relationship instead of working
Mm-hmm.
through it. What is
Yeah.
your opinion on why?
I'm gonna ask you that back. What is your
Okay.
opinion on why? um, I think I'm not really sure. That's why I asked it, because I'm not really sure. You know, I was sort of hoping for some input, and I got a gang of input in the comments. Like people were just like spilling their guts, and I didn't expect people to be so open. But it was really good to read and to learn from people's perspectives. And I feel like the narrative was almost the same. It was like a similar narrative throughout the comments, and that was that just people are afraid of being hurt. People are afraid of rejection, you know? And so their fear of rejection overwhelms them and they can't really like step out, step out and really pursue something that they want. They can't express themselves. And so they just keep their feelings bottled up, and instead of like communicating and making shit happen, they rather just walk away and or ghost. And I think that's where the term ghost comes from. It's not just that they don't want to talk to you, just that they're scared, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what it is ultimately, just fear of rejection, insecurity, you know.
Yeah,
I think, which is sad. It's really sad.
it is. Um,
what
my opinion,
what do you think? Yeah.
my opinion is a lot of it kind of comes down to like products of our environment. Like I know, me being 29, most people at my age, their parents were younger than what mine were, so they have probably different outputs on stuff. But that was when, as a society, we kind of started to see an increase in divorces. That's when, so people watched their parents get divorced, so they just saw their parents quit relationships, and then along came dating websites. So it was even easier for people to just be like, okay, well, this relationship, there's problems. I don't want to deal with it. I can just get on a dating site. I can find another person tomorrow. Made it a lot easier. And then social media came along, and it just opened the floodgates to where
Options.
options left and right
We
in
think we
your
have
area.
so many options. The grass is always greener, isn't it?
It is. It is. And
Yeah.
I'm I'm man enough to admit that I've made mistakes in my life. Like I have two children by two different women, and both my relationships with them didn't work out. And I was engaged to one of them, and when things got rocky, I stepped out in our relationship, and it caused us to separate, rightfully so on her part. And I've matured. I was young when I had my kids. I was 20. It's like, so I was still trying to learn how
Yeah.
to grow up, because my father died when I was 11, so I didn't really have like a male figure I could look up to.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older, like I'm engaged again, and I acknowledge the wrongs that I had done in my life, to where I know if things get rocky, sure, I might not want to talk about it, but I'm not going to like leave. I'm going to let myself calm down and then talk about it, because I
Yeah.
know how sometimes people will talk when they're upset, and it can make the situation worse. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people just need to also learn when and when not to try and communicate issues, because if you're in the moment of something happening, it'll make things the matter worse.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
My
you're fine.
neighbor. My neighbor is making noise.
You're fine.
Um, yeah, just like fighting for a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like wanting to make things work, you know? Kind of like debating whether something is really worth walking away. You know what I'm saying? Is this really worth walking away, or is this something we can fix? You know, and you mentioned social media options, you know what I'm saying? And then we sort of confuse self-empowerment and self-love with selfishness. You know, there's a thin line between loving yourself and loving yourself too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can love yourself and still humble yourself for the people that you say you care for. You just have to find that balance. If you can't find that balance, you need to work on yourself. And you should probably stay single for a minute, because I don't think you understand, right? Like, I love myself. I do. But I also understand that some things are just, they're just worth fighting for. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much do you care? Do you really care or not? Like, do you care about somebody's soul? We forget about that. That
Yeah.
everybody's a spiritual being before they're a physical being. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
are you looking at their soul or not? Are you not looking deeper into this? And if you're not really understanding that, stay single, because you're just gonna hurt yourself and hurt others. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I
Like,
think.
I should have mentioned, it popped in my head as you were talking more about the social media aspect of things. It's like, another thing with social media is a lot of people have friends that are on Facebook, and they see that they're this happy-go-lovey couple,
Yeah.
because that's what they portray themselves as on the internet. But that's what people look at, and they're like, oh, well, why don't we like this? Well, it's because
Comparisons.
that's what they're presenting to you on social media, but that doesn't mean that's what it's like in their home life. You'd have to be around them all the time to see if they fight, if they have problems, and all this. We live in a time where people always want to compare themselves to others,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that
Yeah.
causes a lot of problems.
And if we realize, like, for example, the couples that I know that have been together for decades, like, I know that they've been through problems, and we forget that these couples that have been together for so long, they've been through stuff that you don't know about.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
1000%.
You don't know what they've been through. I was actually having a conversation like this with a friend a few weeks ago, and this friend was telling me that she wishes she could find somebody to love her. She was telling me. And then we were sitting outside in the park, and we saw a couple pass by in front of us. And I told her, look, just be patient. You're young. You see that couple right there? I told her, I'm like, they've probably been together, because they were old. They were an old couple, like senior citizens. And I told her, they've probably been together for 40 years. But I bet you anything, they've been through some shit that we don't understand. They've probably had a miscarriage. Somebody probably cheated. This is probably not their first marriage. They've been through stuff that we don't understand. So for us to compare ourselves, look, it's just more complicated than that. Just be patient. It'll happen. Just work on yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that people go through that we don't see. So yeah, comparison is the worst.
So I want to make sure I got it right. 6 days ago, you had made a post about you got to go to a thing with Ciroc, the MC, or is that upcoming?
That already happened, Ciroc.
That already happened.
Yeah, I believe it
What
was
was that
last
like?
week. It was
That's what I
amazing.
thought. I wasn't sure because it said the next show, so I wasn't sure if this was like a
Oh no,
teaser for an upcoming show or not.
no.
What was that like?
Maybe one day I would love to open up for Ciroc. I'm a fan. She's so great. She's so great live. She's so great live. Uh, she just put out this like empowering, peaceful energy, which is something that you don't get at hip hop shows often. I'm gonna be real with you. I've been to hip hop shows and I've seen artists that I like, that I look up to, and I don't leave that show feeling inspired. I feel that show. I when I'm in the audience, I feel the testosterone, the anger, the competition, and I'm just like, look, I'm here because I love the artist, but I don't feel the energy as positive. But with Ciroc, it was different. You know, there's a difference. Women bring something to hip hop that you can't explain it unless you feel it. You know what I'm saying? there's a difference between testosterone and then like the women and how they make you. They're women. We're nurturing. We're soft. We bring out the softness out of you, the feelings. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I felt seeing Ciroc live. Like she had the sage and she was like lighting it and she was like blowing it at us, and then she started talking about these. Like she would say a little something in between each song, and she would talk about her experiences, and she would talk about unity a lot, and she would empower women a lot. And then of course her lyrics and her beats were amazing. She was going back and forth on the stage. She invited some people on stage with her, so it was an amazing feeling. The difference was felt between her and like other artists that I've seen. It makes me feel very proud to be a woman in hip hop, because I know I bring something to the table that people need. People really need. Men need. Women are needed in hip hop. There's too much violence going on. Too much violence, too much anger, too much competition, too much negativity. Some nurturing, that's needed, I think. Some love, some unity, and only women can bring that. It's the feminine energy that we have that is needed in hip hop. So seeing her made me feel like I gotta keep going. You know?
Yeah.
I gotta keep going.
I agree.
We're needed. You know, we are. Feminine energy is amazing. It's indescribable.
You have your Nickies and you have your Cardis, and like you had your Lil Kims who, Lil Kim, when she first started, it was very gangster forward, and then she also had music that wasn't so gangster because of guys like Biggie telling her, like, guys don't want to hear you rap like that.
Yeah.
And then you have certain female artists now that are different and stand away from the pack, that aren't about the violence. They rap, I'm trying to think of the word, like conscious rap, I guess would be the term that most people would use. They have there's a lot of female conscious rappers.
Yeah.
And it's needed. You have to have balance in music. And having not just like gangster street music, having conscious rap at the same time, it gives balance to music to where somebody isn't just influenced by one sound. You're getting different aspects and different perspectives, if that makes sense what I'm trying to say.
No. Balance is everything. Balance is everything. Balance is everything in our lives in general. I think that we should be able to express ourselves however we want, you know, but you need balance. You need balance. And so when I listen to like Little Kim and how she's like hyper masculine in her music, I like that. I like listening to hyper masculine music because I still have masculine side of me. We all have a masculine and a feminine side. You have a feminine side as well, you know? So I have a masculine side that I like to nurture, right? But also at the end of the day, I am a woman. And so I have a sort of like a natural feminine energy that I like to nurture as well. So you said it best. I think balance is everything. And not just for women, but for men too. I think men need some balance. And I get tired of hearing cocaine rap too much. I like cocaine rap. I love it. But I would love to also, I love hearing, you know, Benny the Butcher. And I say Benny the Butcher because, you know, they made cocaine rap really popular recently. But like, you know, I love when Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, when they talk about their life. Like Conway's last album, it was deep. It was deep. He really got deep with it, and I appreciated the shit out of it. I said, yes. Conway really talked about his child and about his wife and about addiction, and it was a beautiful thing to hear. And so I love the balance. I think everybody needs some balance in their life, for sure.
And then you also have like old school guys like Mos Def. He was one of those guys that was different, and then you had Common, who stepped away from hip hop, but Common was another one of those guys that just it was different than what everything else that was coming out at the time.
Yeah. I think with Common, it was just his delivery. It's not what you say, but how you say it. Because if you listen to his music, he does talk about sex, you know. Yeah. But it was in a poetic way, and so we were like, oh, you know what I'm saying? But again, it was that balance, you know.
Yeah. What is your idea of making it in the music industry?
If I can live off this full time, if I can have shows in London and Mexico and Brazil, you know, and get paid to perform over there, that's when I know I've made it, you know, if I can do that. Yeah.
And then before we talk about a little bit of your discography and close out the interview,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
would be some change you want to see in your community?
My community, like in hip
LA,
hop, or my community,
like LA.
like as far as music goes.
No, just in general. I always want people to like speak on like things they want to see change where they're from, to where they, for if they ever do pop, there's that video that people from where they're from can see. Like a lot of them speak out against like the violence and stuff like that, or the drug opioid addictions and stuff in the country.
Against my community. So not music related.
Not music related, this is personal related.
Traffic is bad. I would like to see a change in traffic and a change in the rent being lowered. That's what I would
That's
like
high.
to see change. Oh yeah, it's horrible here. It's so horrible. I hate it. The rent is expensive. I mean, that's what I would like to see change. There's a lot of things I can talk about, you know. We just heard about this rapper who got shot a couple weeks ago, was it? In South Central.
PNB Rock, yeah.
Yeah, which was down the street from where I'm at. So I don't know what to think about that. It's overwhelming. It's so sad. It's stressful. I just like, damn, what are we doing wrong? You know, like what is it? I don't know. I feel stupid because I don't even know. I don't know the answer to that. And I'm in hip hop and I'm from Los Angeles. It's like, god damn, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah.
Um, so recently you dropped, we'll start with your avant-garde album in 2021. What was the creative process behind picking out the tracks that you used for this album?
The same process that I always do, which is I pick out the beats first. I pick out the beats first, and then I write to them. And then after I write to them, I pick the order. Um, and then sometimes the beats like inspire me to get a feature. So if I hear like a friend's voice on this beat, then I'll probably hit them up because I feel like they would sound good on it, you know, or I feel like they could deliver on the concept the way that I would like them to. So I do that. And so yeah, after I write to all the songs, I mix and master, and then I pick the order. What song would go good after this one? You know, does it flow? I need the album. I need somebody to listen to the album front to back and feel like it's just like a movie, just boom, like oh shit, it's over. Like that's the goal. That's always the goal with albums, for people to hear it and just like no skips, having it flow. Yeah.
And then in 2022, you released
Mm-hmm.
Mercy, which you did with Rorix,
Rorex,
Rorix, the producer, and Destruct.
Rorex, the producer, and Destruct. Yeah.
What was the process behind with that track?
We were in Las Vegas on tour. And so since we made a pit stop in Vegas for the show, Rorex, who's a producer friend, by the way, shout out to Rorex. He's so dope, a great friend. We hit him up and we're like, hey, we're in Vegas. Can we go to the studio? So we went to the studio. He played a beat for us, and we're like, this is the one. So we started to write to the beat right there. We wrote to the beat real quick, me and Destruct, and then we spit the beat, and then we're like, we're ready to record. So we recorded it, and that was it. And honestly, it's one of my favorite verses that I've ever written. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of it, and the fact that we wrote it on the spot.
I mean, yeah, that always makes things better. Just when you're able to just instantly be able to make an entire verse right on the spot.
That's one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite features, Mercy, for sure.
And then in June, you released Cinematic with
IKE.
IKE.
IKE, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
What was the process with that song?
Well, Ike, well, I'm gonna call him Ike. Ike is a good friend of mine that I've known for a few years. He does it all. He produces, he mixes and he masters, he engineers, he raps, he does it all. And so we did a song the year before that called Illusions, and then after that we shot a video for that, and then the following year he sent me cinematic with his verse on it. And oh my God, I was inspired off the bat. I was inspired by the hook. I was inspired by the beat. His verse was amazing. So I just hopped on it right away. I recorded it and I sent it to him. I'm like, boom, here you go. Let's put it out. So he mixed it and he mastered it. I did the cover art and we just put it out. And again, one of my favorite features. Like, yeah, very proud of cinematic. I love cinematic. I want to shoot a video for it. We might.
Huh?
We might.
And then that brings us to your newest release.
Nice single.
3 weeks old, roughly? Two,
Yeah.
2.5 weeks? On August 31st.
Yeah.
Dear Summer Baby.
Mm-hmm.
When you found this beat, what about it, like, do you remember, like, what about this beat spoke to you that you were like, oh, this is the one?
I love Dear Summer Baby. I'm a fan of my own music. It makes me really happy to say that. So I had this beat for a while, actually, for like over a year. It was a gift to me from Destruct, and I loved this beat, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I kind of just like stored it, And then one day on my day off, I was sitting where I'm sitting now, and I decided to play the beat, right? And I was this there's a fucking mosquito. And I was inspired right away by this beat. And I started writing to it, and I wrote the whole song in one sitting. In one sitting while I was sitting here, actually. This is where I'm sitting. And I wrote to it. I recorded it like 3 days later. And then I had it mixed and mastered like a week after that. And then after that, sí, si quieres. Sí, está bien. Okay. My mom, sorry.
Hey, you're fine.
She's asking me about food, like, how do I eat this? Anyway, so from the time I wrote the song to the time I put it out, it's probably like 2 weeks. I wrote it, got it mixed and mastered, did the cover art, uploaded it, and released it like in 2 weeks. It was a very spontaneous drop, but it was I was going through so much at that time. Like, I was just like, it was summertime. My birthday had just passed. It was really hot outside. I wasn't all there with my emotions. I was stressed out. But this beat started playing, and I felt blessed. I sort of like, this beat brought me back to reality. The fact that I'm able to do music, the fact that I'm alive, I'm healthy. So I just wrote. And so if you notice in that song, I talk about being stressed, being depressed, but living in Los Angeles, and how, sometimes we think like, the weather's great, it's summertime, I'm healthy, but that doesn't mean that we don't suffer from stress and from depression. We still do. I live in the best city in the world, and I was born during summertime, which is the best season, but I still suffer with stress and depression, and that's the reality of it. But at the same time, I have to keep going, And so that's what that song's about just, look, it happens to all of us, but we have to keep going, and we have to sort of like remind ourselves what it is, what the goal is. And so I hope that when people listen to Dear Summer Baby, they sort of understand that, look, like, your stress and your depression is very real, it's very valid, but don't stop. Don't stop. Get some sunlight.
It's definitely a vibe too. Like, I really enjoy the beat. It's just
Thank
very
you.
chill, and
It's a good beat.
it is. It's a really good beat.
I love that song. I love it so much. And I don't want to ruin any surprises, but it's gonna be in my album. For sure.
So what do you use to listen to music? Do you use Spotify?
Spotify, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna send you a couple artists that are from where I'm at over on the East Coast, and then I feel like you guys could probably maybe work together on some tracks at some point because you guys would be able to meld and bring the East and West Coast together on a track.
Meld. I like that word.
So if
Thank
you
you.
watch on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. All of Silvandgold's links will be in the description on YouTube.
Silvandgold.com. Everything you need is there.
All right. That's actually what I was going to link was the silvandgold.com. I saw that you have. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, okay?
You too.
Bye.